How's everybody doing? The 4th of July is over with. Summertime, I think, is a little under halfway done, and it's been hot everywhere. These podcasts, I'm kind of behind on them. I know it's been a while since my last one, but y'all, my summers are really busy. I have my kids. I'm back and forth between houses, and I do work. So I have an actual real job. This YouTube money ain't enough to make me do it full time, but that's not what it's about. It's about spreading information and just talking to y'all, giving y'all some different points of views on things and wanting to hear y'all thoughts. So let me just y'all like the hat? I like to wear different and unique hats. Shout out to my coworker. He gave this to me. He went to Vegas, and I guess they had these at the bar, and he didn't want it, so he asked me if I wanted it. I was like, yeah, I use it for my next podcast. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I got it on. It ain't cold or nothing, but it's kind of cool, this hat. So shout out Inez for that. Politics, real quick. They just Supreme Court just voted to give the next president immunity to any of his official acts, his or her official acts, and that can be troubling because how can you determine what's official and what's unofficial? And you can blur that line, right? If the president wants to come to your house and take away your food, that's unofficial. That's an unofficial act. But if the president orders the military to come to your house and take your food, then that's an official act. Same thing, but one's official, one's not. And that kind of blurs the line. I'm not really excited about that, but politics is one of those things that I try not to touch on because it is a lot, and people can swing one way or another, and people can really get offended based on your political background or political beliefs. But I just think giving the president immunity for official acts is crazy. Might as well make him a king if you're going to do that. So, but that's not what this podcast about. This podcast is going to be controversial, and like most of my podcasts, these aren't to offend anyone. These aren't taking shots at anyone. It's just information that I wonder if people think about when I put this out there. So we're going to talk about children, right? Raising a child, having a child, creating life, and the consequences of that. Now, everybody knows it takes two people to make a child. We don't have to beat that dead horse. But we also have to admit that only one of those two people actually brings the child into the world. That not two, just one. So with that in mind, I was talking to a couple of my female friends, and they gave me some unique points on this because I don't like talking about female things without getting some insight from some females first, because I don't want to be talking about things that I couldn't have any idea about, right? Like, I don't bring kids into the world. I'm a man, so I have no idea what childbirth, what labor, Braxton Hicks, I have no idea what those things are. And I don't know the emotional toll that puts on women. So I can't really speak on that. But I can speak on the other side of it. See, there's a dynamic when you have a child. There's two halves, the mother and the father. And both of those halves are equally important to successfully raising a child. If you don't have one of those halves, then that makes it harder for the other half to properly raise that child. Now, my thing is this. I don't think everybody should have children. I don't think everyone should bring children into this world. That's going to be controversial because I have so many children. And by the way, as a disclaimer, I've never got on the internet or went out in the world and told anybody that I was a great father. I do everything right. My children's mothers, if they could collectively grade me, I think they'd give me a D- as a father. But that doesn't mean I'm not entitled to an opinion. So hear me out. When a woman has a child, if that woman says, I don't want to take care of this child. I don't want to have anything to do with this child. I don't want to be responsible for this child. that woman has options, right? There are avenues for her. There's adoption, right? And there's government assistance. So a woman can have a child with pretty much no consequences. She can bring a child into this world outside of health risks, okay? She can bring a child into this world with no consequences. She can literally choose if she wants to take care of the child or if she doesn't. If she wants to take care of the child and she needs help, the government will help her. If she doesn't want to take care of the child, the government will take the child and give it to, someone else. There's options. Men don't have those options. A man cannot say, I don't want to take care of my child. Well, they can say it, but they will, by the law, they are required to financially support that child. And if the mother, files for child support, then the father, whether he wants to be in that child's life or not, will have to pay child support. So fathers don't really get a choice in whether or not they want to take care of their child. The only choice they really get is if the mother allows them to not help take care of that child. But that's, once again, up to the mother, right? Now, imagine if there was a system or a rule or a law that said if a woman brings a child into the world, she has to provide for that child. There is no government assistance, and there is no give the child up for adoption. Imagine if that was a law, and every woman that had a child, you had to take care of that child. And if the father said, I don't want to help you take care of this child, or I don't want to be in this child's life, then that was it. The end. Do you guys think there would be the same amount of kids being born as there are now? If the mother had to be totally responsible for the child, they say, you're going to have this child, you're going to take care of this child. We'll give you WIC, but we're not finna give you government assistance. And your father, you can't put him on child support. He says he doesn't want to be in the child's life. Okay, that's what it is. Imagine if that was actually possible. Do you guys think there'd be the same amount of kids created? And I have my opinions on it. I think it'd be a lot less kids, a whole lot less. Because when you have no consequences for your actions, none, you tend to not really make the best choices. If I know I can break into a store and take the chips out of it and not get in trouble, I'm not saying I would do it, but someone would be more inclined to do it. Why pay for something if I can just get it for free with no consequences, right? There's no consequences. So when a woman, outside of health reasons, right? Y'all don't kill me, don't bash me, I'm not a feminist or nothing. But if a woman has no real repercussions for having a child, and she's going to get help no matter what stops her from creating life? Now I talk to my female friends, and they had their takes on it. Sometimes when women want to have a family. So when you want to have a family, you need, the other half and the children. But how many women bring kids into the world and they think about the financial burden? Like, that's really the deciding factor. How many women say, you know what? Maybe I can't really afford this kid. Maybe I shouldn't have it. How many women actually do that? And I don't know the answer, but the reason I bring this all up is because when we create life and we bring life into the world, all of our choices are going to affect that life, good and bad. They're going to affect that life. So why would you bring life into the world if you can't provide adequately or the best for that life? Because now you're bringing life into the world automatically at a disadvantage. And everyone has their reasons for why they do it. I have some female friends that don't want to have kids, and they have legitimate reasons why. I have female friends that do want kids, and they have legitimate reasons why. But why would you purposely bring a child into the world at a disadvantage? What I mean by that, let's say you have you get pregnant by a guy that you're not in a relationship with, right? Now, we all know having a kid with somebody ain't gonna make a relationship. That's not how that works. So now you're bringing a child into the world automatically in a broken home, automatically. Doesn't matter how much their grandfather, grandmother, siblings, cousins, aunties, uncles are around. You're still bringing that child into the world, into a broken home, automatically, because you're not in a relationship with the father. And if the father is not available for whatever reasons, now that child won't get a chance to build a relationship with their father. Not a strong one. I mean, you can build a relationship, but not as strong as if you guys were together in a relationship, living together and all that stuff. So why aren't these things taken into account when we bring children into the world? Why? We talked about government assistance, right? You know, and I told one of my friends, I said, I think there should be a limit on government assistance. I think the government should say, okay, we'll give you assistance with this child, but you can't have no more children while you're on government assistance, because now you just milking the system. If you can't take care of this first child by yourself without our assistance, why would you create another child? How often does that happen? How many women are on government assistance, public aid, and they still making babies? How many? Why? Why do you think that is? I think it's because there's no consequence. There's no real consequence for a woman to bring a child into the world. She knows that if I don't want to take care of this child, I don't have to. But if I want help with this child, I will get help. The government will find the guy, whoever, and make him help me financially with the child. There are women that have children for a payday. They actually do. And speaking of paydays, and I'm not bitter about child support. Let me get that out the way too. I've been paying child support since the 90s. I'm not bitter about it. It is what it is. Do you think the cost of living for each child is the same? So let's say you have a 15-year-old child and you have a newborn child. Do you think they both need the same amounts of money per month? A 15-year-old who's self-sufficient can actually work and, take care of themselves, versus an infant who can't work, can't take care of themselves, but they don't go out and party and all that. They just kind of sit there. I don't think they need the same amounts of money per month. I think a lot of times with the child support system, they come up with an arbitrary number based on some mathematical calculation, and it's just ridiculous. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I think the parents should amicably come together and say this is a reasonable amount per month for child support. Now, once again, imagine if women brought life into the world, and there was you got to take care of this child, and the father don't have to help you. Do you guys think that there will be the same amount of children being born? I don't. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe it. I think it'll be a lot more ways to annex bringing a child into the world. Because now, wait a minute, you mean to tell me I'm having a kid and I got to take care of the kid? The government ain't going to help me? Oh no, I'm not having this kid. But there's no real consequences. So what can we do? Because it's not about us, right? It's not about the fathers having to pay child support. It's not about the mothers having stretch marks on their stomach after having kids. It's about the well-being of the child. What can we do to ensure when we create life, we're doing it based on what's best for the child, not what's best for us? Because there are guys that will have children and say, yeah, it's best for you not to have this child because I don't want to pay for it, right? And in the same breath, it's women that, I'm going to get help with this child either way. So I don't need, it could be a terrible father that I had a kid with. The government's going to help me. I'll get assistance, so it doesn't matter. What about the child? Where do we factor in the child actually dealing with this stuff? How many children come from broken homes? How many? I think all my friends come from broken homes. I come from a broken home. Could it have been avoided? Yes. It can always be avoided. But we can't go back to the mantra, well, you laid down, you knew what you were doing. Yeah, I mean, people that lay down and do that, they know what they're doing, right? But even still, there's always a solution. It may not be the most popular, may not be the most moral, but there is a solution. Now, I'll ask you this. Which one do you think is worse? Having 6 kids with 6 people or even one person, but having 6 kids that you cannot take care of. You need assistance to help take care of all 6 of those kids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can't take care of. Or having 6 abortions. Now, society tells us having 6 abortions is bad, right? It's like, oh, God, it's, you're killing life and everything. And I don't want to really get, into that because I know that's a touchy subject. But society does tell us 6 abortions will be bad. But what about 6 kids that you can't take care of? You need help taking care of. Now they got to live 18 years struggling, which is worse. And I guess that comes down to moral choices. But, bro, we got to be realistic when we have creating life, when we bringing life into the world. If you are not self-sufficient, if you can't take care of yourself, why do you think you can take care of another life? I don't understand that. And it's not going to stop. And the way the world is now, this economy is horrible. It's pretty bad, right? Like the cost of living is going up. Wages are bad. It's pretty bad. I was going through a Whataburger drive-thru, and there was a guy by the mic where you talk to order the food, waiting there asking for money. And I guess he figured, you can't duck him once he's there by the mic. You literally have to acknowledge him in some way. But I can't really fault that guy because that's how hard it is now. It is really hard to live. You're struggling. Most Americans are struggling. So with all that being in mind, you barely can take care of yourself. Why would you want to bring life into the world? I don't understand it. And it's not to offend anyone. It's not to call anyone. But what is the logic behind bringing a life into the world, knowing you can't adequately take care of that life? Knowing it, not thinking, but knowing you can't. It has always baffled me. I can't control biology, right? I can't. Men aren't the ones bringing lives into the world. If men were the ones bringing lives into the world, I would definitely not have as many children as I have. I would definitely not. And maybe it's I don't know, an emotional thing, whatever, but I would definitely not, because how I see it is you have to look at the whole picture. You have to be real. You got to look at the person and say, okay, I'm finna bring a child into the world with you. You have nothing. You know nothing. You don't really, seem like you got direction in life. Yeah, I'm not finna have a child with you. I mean, yes, we laid down and did what we did. Okay, that's a physical 2.5 to 14, 15 minute experience. But now we got a life. Yeah, if men were the ones creating life, how I'm looking at it, nah, I ain't not with you. 18 years, nah, you're not reliable. But men aren't the ones creating, bringing life into the world. We're at the mercy of the mother and the mercy of the system. That is really what it is. And they are not really tailored towards the fathers. They're not. Some states have family first, which really means whatever the mother says goes. The father just kind of takes it. And when you're in certain situations as a father, that stuff can make you bitter and have some discontent. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying, imagine you were intimate with a person and she got pregnant. You guys didn't really care for each other. Like y'all were whatever. And they, had a child and you haven't seen this person in months, whatever, and then you get a letter in the mail saying, hey, you got to go to court to pay child support, and the child support is a ridiculous amount. It's just ridiculous because there are ridiculous child support amounts, okay? Babies don't need $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. You daycare, medical, dental, vision, food for a month, okay. But these numbers can be ridiculous. So now you got a guy who, wait a minute, this isn't right. This isn't, but, well, that's the state. So, yeah, the guy can have some hate and discontent because now he may not even be able to live anymore. And everyone will say, well, he shouldn't have laid down with her. Okay, I get all that. But where does the onus fall on the woman that brought the child into the world? There is no onus because she can have as many kids as she wants, and she don't have to take care of them. I know women who have had children brought children in this world and said, I don't want to take care of this child. There was no consequence or repercussion. Okay, well, we'll just put him in the system. Or one of your family members can take care of him. That's it. Men don't get that choice, because if men got that choice, right? If a man could go to a woman and say, look, I know we created life, but I don't want to have anything to do with you or the life we created. And the law said, okay, cool. Yeah, I wouldn't be as many kids in this world. Stop it. Anybody saying it'll be the same amount, stop it. You're being delusional. Women will be like, wait a minute, so I'm not getting no help, no child support, no, yeah, I'm not getting, it'll be some clinics that'll be working overtime. Let's just say that. And once again, this ain't no pot shots. This ain't nothing personal. This is just thoughts that I've had over the years. And I've talked to females. Shout out Latrice. Shout out Wendy. Shout out Vinzetta. Shout out Droony. Shout out Allison. I've talked to females about this, and they were not offended. They didn't take it personal. They just had their views on it. And all views are different. Some women don't want to be mothers. They like, look, the economy sucks. I like my freedom. I enjoy my money. I enjoy my peace. I don't want to have to risk having a child in a broken home. Totally legit. And then some women are like, well, I've always wanted a family, so that's why I had children. But if you do it the right way, okay. If you got a husband, wife, married, y'all in a relationship 2, 3, 4, 5 years, y'all got the house and, picket fence, and you have kids, okay. Sometimes relationships don't work, but you still got to be amicable for the kids. And I'm speaking as a father. I come from all those different backgrounds, relationship, not relationship, indifference, but you have to do your part for the child. And if you're not going to be there physically, then you have to have some kind of financial accountability for that child. That's what it is. And I understand that. But that doesn't mean that the system isn't flawed. That doesn't mean that I agree with the system. I definitely don't agree with it. There should be, if a woman has a kid and she's on government assistance, she shouldn't be able to have no more kids until she can prove that she can take care of her kids without government assistance. If she can't, then she shouldn't have no more kids. And I know that's never going to happen, because that's so violating some kind of personal or immoral something. I know somebody will get offended. How dare you tell me I can't have as many kids as I want and I got to take care of them? Don't that sound crazy? But once again, I'm not a woman, so I don't know what women go through emotionally, physically, the tolls that life, inside of you takes on you. But I know if I was the one pushing the child out into the world, I'm looking at the person that I had the child with, I'm assessing them, and then I'm going to make my decision. Oh, you don't have nothing going for yourself? Nothing? Yeah, I'm not having a kid with you. And I'm not. This ain't no, I mean, if that means I'd have to have multiple abortions, so be it. I know those come with risks, but I'm willing to take those risks more than taking the risk of having a child with a person who's inadequate. And we got some inadequate people out here. We can rag on the inadequate fathers all day, because that's common, right? But let's talk about these inadequate mothers. Mothers living off their mother because they can't take care of their kids. That's one. Mothers living off the government for 15, 20 years because they can't take care of their kids. Mothers that have kids and say, I don't want to take care of this kid. And then the government put their kid in the system. Let's not pretend these things don't happen. This might be an uncomfortable topic for some, but it's not uncomfortable for me. So let's be honest. There's some mothers out here that should not have no kids. Like, you just should not be mothers. And a lot of y'all really know who y'all are. You can look in the mirror and be like, should I really have kids? What do I have for myself? Do I have anything? Do I know anything? Do I own anything? Do I, And it ain't even about necessarily owning. It's just about being stable. Can you provide stability for your child without government assistance? Can you do that? And you're a single parent? You probably shouldn't have a child. You probably shouldn't bring a child into the world. I don't know that if that ruffles feathers, but it's the truth. I think It's a legitimate truth. Why are you bringing kids in the world that you cannot take care of? You a single parent, single. You get pregnant. You have nothing. You don't have nothing. You don't have your own place, and you want to bring a child into the world. Why? No shade, no disrespect, but just why? The father's going to be held accountable financially, if anything, because of child support. Now, you got fathers that will quit their jobs to not, help take care of their kids. I get all that stuff, and I'm not saying that's right. You got deadbeat fathers that don't do nothing, right? We do. Like I said, my kids' mothers, if they would grade me, they would tell the world my grade as a father is a D- at best. Maybe they'll give me an F+. But you still have obligations, legal, financial obligations. But if men didn't have to take care of their children that they created, and that was the law, it would definitely be a lot less kids in this world. I'll down that hill. But that's it, man. Y'all let me know in the comments, man. I'm sorry I haven't been putting these podcasts out, but I've just been all over the place, man. My house in Artesia, my neighbor house caught on fire last night. So I'm kind of stressed about that. So I'm going to head back out there, make sure everything's good. It's just a lot going on in life in general, man. And, unlike some of these YouTube channels where everything is great, every time they get on camera, everything is great. I just don't come from that world. And I manage it just like anyone else. I don't always get it right, but, I manage it and I try. And that's all we can do is try. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Should women have just free reign with how many kids they have? And if men were not held accountable for the children that they helped create, and the women had to raise them by themselves, would there be the same amount of kids, or would there be more abortions? Let me know, man. We're just talking. And as always, man, thank y'all for watching. And until the next YouTube video, be easy.